Madison, welcome to Podcastina.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for talking to me today. I was so excited when we were able to connect. I would just love to hear anything and everything you're willing to share about how you got into competitive bodybuilding.
Yeah, sounds good.
So, how did you stumble into this world? Did you know ahead of time that you wanted to do it? Was it kind of just like a hobby that you're like, hey, I can go pro with this potentially? Or how did it happen?
Um, so actually, I started going to the gym as a New Year's resolution. I was like, I have to feel comfortable in my body. I'm so tired of hating every single picture I take. I'm so tired of feeling this way about myself. So I was like, I have to go to the gym. New Year's resolution, new year, new me type thing. Um, and very, very quickly, I just kind of I went and I've literally never stopped going. And that's just kind of how it went. I very quickly just really fell in love with the discipline. I love a plan. I love following a plan. I like structure. And getting to go to the gym every week and have like, okay, this is something that I can progress at. I can see changes happening. I really enjoyed feeling strong and getting stronger. Um, and then I was on my own doing that for about a year, I would say. I was trying to eat correctly. Trying is the key word. There's so many things that I would do different, obviously. Like if I had to go and do that over again, hindsight's 2020. I was probably severely actually under eating, and I was overtraining, and I was still like binge drinking on the weekends and having all these free meals, I would call them. I wasn't really dialed in. I was just kind of having fun with it, which is fine. Um, but then I was like, I have kind of hit a plateau after a year. I had lost some weight. And I was like, I think I want to like level it up. I want to reach the next level. I know that I can, look better, do better, be stronger, all these things. So I'm going to hire a coach. And so that was like the next step after a year on my own. I hired a coach. She was a competitive bodybuilder. And before that, I knew competitive bodybuilding was a thing, but I like was like, oh, okay, it's just like something that people do. I didn't really know anything about it. But very quickly, getting on a proper meal plan, getting a proper training plan, all these things kind of started infiltrating my thoughts and my daily life. And then it just so happened at that point, it was the Olympia rolling around. And so, since she was a competitive bodybuilder, I had seen her post about watching the Olympia, and I was like, I'll give this thing a watch. As soon as I watched that, I was like, yeah, I need to do that. I want to do that. Obviously, I don't look like an Olympian, but the drive was there, and I immediately recognized the division of figure, and I was like, that's what I want to look like. It was these just absolutely gorgeous girls, very muscular, but also very feminine in the way that they presented their physique. And the sparkly suit, the heels, the jewelry, I loved it all. So I was like, all right, tunnel vision now. This is what I want to train for. And so that's what I did. I went through a growing phase with that coach. I actually ended up switching coaches during my prep, my first show, and I've been with that coach ever since.
What does it take to qualify for entry level competitions?
For like shows that I compete in,
Hmm.
literally nothing. Anybody could enter. And the NPC, the National Physique Committee, is the amateur league to the IFBB. Anybody could enter. You literally just have to pay. So you'll have to pay for your NPC card, they call it. It's just like when you register with the National Physique Committee, and then you just register to enter into the show. Obviously, you want to like prep and look good and like look the part. So that's kind of what it costs there, but the hidden costs are like you have to probably should hire a coach. You've got to think about all the food that you're buying, your gym membership. So it is quite expensive. The suits that the girls wear are very expensive. The heels, the jewelry, the makeup, the hair, the tan. So all that does cost, but there's no like qualifications to enter for the NPC at least.
And then as you progress, like how do you know, or do they tell you that you're ready for IFBB if I'm correct that that's the next level?
Yeah, so you have to qualify to go to a national show, they call it, or a nationally or a pro qualifying show, I should say. And so there's only a handful every year. And so if I were to do a local NPC show, let's say, and I get first or second place, then I'm qualified to go to that national show to compete for a pro card. And so then if I, prepped, I arrive at, let's say, junior nationals, and I get first place. Some shows will award first and second place a pro card in the classes, but some shows are only first place. So it just depends on the show. But then if you get first or second place at that show, you are given an IFBB pro card, and then you're in the IFBB league.
What have you ran into as being people's biggest misconception about competitive bodybuilding?
Oh gosh. Probably that either we're all extremely unhealthy. It's not a healthy thing to do, competitively at least. But that's not to say that we're all dying. And two, I think that women, especially, wildly misjudge how hard it is to put on muscle as a woman, um, without even with if they're taking enhancements, even with enhancements, it's very difficult. And so you will not accidentally go into the gym and turn out to look like a women's bodybuilding competitor, like the muscle of the top of the mass monsters. You are not going to accidentally look like that. And so most girls who are in the IFBB Pro League, they're a pro bodybuilder, have been training for the good part of a decade to reach that level.
Yeah, it's insane to me that that misconception is so prevalent because I've had people say that to me too of, "Oh, I don't want to lift," because that's like my preferred method of working out is just
Hmm.
weightlifting. I like it. It's easy to get in the zone. I feel like I don't need anything extra. I don't always enjoy just like a workout class. And people are always like, "Oh, I don't want to get too bulky. I don't want to get too bulky." And knowing what I know about it, I'm like, there's no fucking way you're going to accidentally get too bulky. It's just way too hard. Like for how hard I
No.
lift and how many years it's been, I still have the
Oh, I
tiniest
know.
frame.
Literally, literally. I'm like, I think if I could look back, if I like went to myself the first day I stepped into the gym and I showed myself a picture like, hey, this is what you're gonna look like in 3.5 years, I'd be like, that's it? Like, are you kidding? Like, and so yeah, it's just crazy that women especially just think that they're gonna turn like they're just gonna get so bulky. And I think that when girls do like start going to the gym and they're like, oh, I'm starting to get bulky, I think what happens is you're increasing your obviously you're working out now, you're training, and that takes a lot of effort. Therefore, you are hungrier. You get hungry. And so then you probably start to eat more, even subconsciously. You put more food on your plate if you're not tracking. And then you probably just gained a little bit of body fat on top of the muscle that you're building. So then now you think you're bulky. You're not really bulky. So that's usually what I see happen. But yeah, it's you will not accidentally become a mass monster. I can guarantee you that.
I love the terminology mass monster. Is that kind of
Yeah.
within the world?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that's my goal at least. That's a lot of strong women's goals is to become people look at you and like you're a mass monster. Yeah. That's what I want. Take a while, but we'll get there.
Someone on a dating app called me a muscle mommy, and I was like, that's my favorite compliment ever.
A round of applause. That's amazing. That's what we all shoot for.
Yeah. You were alluding that competitive bodybuilding isn't like the healthiest thing. Talk to me about what are the pitfalls? Like, what would make it unhealthy if you're doing it a lot?
Well, and that's the other thing too, kind of going back to misconceptions, is that even before I knew what bodybuilding was, when I saw girls on stage, I thought that's just what they look like all the time. It's not what they look like all the time at all. They look like that for a couple hours. And then, they're eating, they're training again, like they're, they're getting more water in. So they do not look like that for like maybe a day, maybe a day. And so it's just, yeah, the thing is, bodybuilding is not healthy. The bodybuilding principles are healthy, training in the gym, getting strong, lifting weights for your joints, for your muscles, as you age, things like that. It's very good for especially elderly people to lift weights. It's good to be, cognizant of, what you're consuming food wise. Like, not that you have to be super nitpicky about it, maybe like competitive bodybuilders are, but it's good to know, like, what's in your food, what you're consuming. And so those kind of like rest, recovery, those things are healthy. The competitive side of it, when you have to get, especially as a woman, when you have to get that lean for a show, especially when you go up in muscularity for those divisions, the more lean they want you to be, it's hard on your body. For women, it's hard on your hormones. That's why most women will lose their periods very close to a show. The extreme dieting. Now, that's kind of what not makes me mad, but like that in there's a lot of bad coaches out there in this industry who don't have no idea what they're doing. And there's a way to do things in a healthier way to preserve your health, especially as a woman. And it's the same for men. It's not healthy for men either, but women, we've got more finicky hormones on a 28-day cycle, and men are off 24-hour cycle. Um, so there's a healthier way to do it, especially when we consider that we can do hormone support, healing peptides, things like that. We can try to, really optimize your health in other ways before we prep. Make sure your GI health is all cleaned up, make sure your hormones are optimized, make sure we've got, rest, recovery really dialed in before we prep. That way we don't have to go so hard in the paint when we prep. We don't have to do 2 hours of cardio. We don't have to do like 1,000 calories a day, and you know these absolutely insane things. We don't have to do that because we've done the other work. And a lot of people don't want to do that other health work, because it takes a while and it's not fun. It's not, grinding, going hard at the gym. So people don't want to put in the effort to do that. And therefore, and then these coaches are really tanking some people's healths, by giving them enhancements that they should not be taking, too big of a dose for a woman, etc. So I see it all the time.
Is there a ton of regulation at this point, or is it kind of a free for all as far as who can coach?
It's a free for all. The landscape is littered with people calling themselves coaches. It's not my business. I wouldn't do it. But there are people who don't know any better and they fall for it. So,
Well, it's good to have people speaking out against it and kind of shedding light on what it's supposed to be like. I'm wondering
yeah.
this because I bet a lot of people have seen at least a little bit, even if you don't follow competitive bodybuilding. We've all seen the very tan posing, and everyone's seen images, at least from the Olympia. How much is it about the muscles versus the posing versus the tan?
Well, the tan really helps. Under those, the Olympia is notoriously just awful lighting, by the way. They really need to fix
Hmm.
that. Um, what you see online sometimes and when people are there in person is like two different images. So, anyways, the tan just helps the muscles to really pop. You can see more definition under the harsh like stage lighting. That's across the board with like an NPC show, IFBB, the Olympia. So that's why the tan is there. And then they also glaze you backstage. So you get essentially like the oil on you. Tip for all my bodybuilders, you can just get a can of spray coconut oil and it's like the same exact thing. You don't have to pay for the glaze. And so that's a part of it. If you don't get the tan, you're really doing yourself a disservice. You're not going to win. Sorry, you're not going to win. The tan is it's a requirement, so you have to get the tan. Now, muscularity versus posing. I have seen competitors, even at the local level, like have immaculate posing, like so good. Like you can tell that they have worked on it. And maybe their physique really isn't there yet. Maybe they're new. They don't have, a ton of muscle as they would need for that division, but their posing really sets them apart and they're able to show off what they do have. And that gets them to place higher. So I think that muscularity, if I had to rank it, probably it would go conditioning, meaning leanness, muscularity, posing, probably. And then obviously you have to have the tan. So it's not really negotiable there, but the conditioning is really, really important. But you should start, if you're listening, you should start posing now. If you think that you want to compete, you should start posing right now because it's very hard.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of detail that you have to figure out of what to squeeze and which way to hold what, and I don't know that people really appreciate what that takes because you have to build up kind of like a muscle memory of how to do each pose.
Oh yeah. And that's like what before I knew what bodybuilding was, I thought that that's just the way they stand. That's just the way they look. No. They're flexing everything, like, you are, like, crunching your lower back to try to get your glutes lifted, try to keep your stomach in, your waist nice and tight while trying to flex your lats, your quads, making sure you don't get a calf cramp. Everything is if the judges can see you, you're being judged. So as you're walking on and off the stage, if you're standing on the side of the stage, you're being judged. So you gotta make sure that you are posed.
Wow. Well, there's that kinda just highlights how different the posing requirements are for men and women because the women have to wear such high heels.
Yeah, in figure bikini, wellness, fit model fitness they do in women's physique and women's bodybuilding the heels they don't wear heels so in the more muscular the two top muscular divisions they don't wear heels but yeah the men don't have to wear any shoes so
What do you think are the hardest divisions?
um they all have their own unique level of hard. So it just depends. Obviously, women's bodybuilding is the top of the top for muscularity, so it's going to take you a long time. There's a reason why, as you go up in muscularity, usually the more seasoned or older the competitors are. So women in women's bodybuilding are a little bit older than are going to be like in figure. Um, but like for bikini, it's a very fine line with them for conditioning because they don't want you to be too hard, too lean, but then you still have to have some separation in certain places, and they don't want to see separation in other places. You got to have a glute ham tie-in, but you don't want your quads to be, too overpowering. So the training is very specific, things like that. For wellness, like they don't want to see your upper body too big. You got to have like bikini conditioning, but you still have to see your quads. So it's like they all have their own unique things about them. I don't know that I would say one division is really harder than the other. It just kind of depends on if you're fighting against your genetics, then it's going to be really hard for you. So that's why I always tell people to pick the division that your genetics are telling you to pick.
And by that, do you mean, like, I, for example, naturally have bigger calves. I never work them out. People ask me what I do for them. I'm like, nothing. So when you say don't fight against your genetics, do you mean like the muscles that tend to get big for people for no reason?
Yeah, and just kind of people's just bone structure. I have some girls who just have very narrow shoulders, but their legs are big. They have wide hips, so they would be good for wellness. But for me, like I've always had a very broad upper back, and a very just natural V taper to my back. I was a swimmer for a very long time. Maybe that's what it was. But so for me, it was just kind of obvious to go into figure. I was training for wellness for like a few months hated it. Um, so I was like, okay, this isn't for me. I need to follow what my body is telling me to do, which is figure.
And does that mean you have to avoid certain exercises if they're targeting a muscle group that you don't want bigger?
Yeah, if you are in wellness, they don't want your upper body to be too big. You're not really going to be training chest hard. You're not really going to be going hard for back training. They still want shoulders. Um, and like for bikini, it's like the same thing because it's like the same upper body. But for figure, you're training everything.
Do you have any gym icks?
When people don't put their weights away, that's possibly my biggest ick. When people take their shoes off at the gym, I don't want to see your dogs. Um, when somebody comes over and works out right next to me in an empty gym, and I can feel them like breathing on me, get away from me. When somebody tries to talk to me while I'm like during a set, no, absolutely not. I'm not stopping. Sorry. Um, oh gosh, I feel like there's so many more that I could talk about. Um, yeah, people like stink at the gym. They don't shower. I'm like, come on, come on. You're making it really difficult for everybody else here.
How do you feel about people filming at the gym?
I'm fine with it. I don't care. I know people are very opinionated about that. And I understand why. If they don't want to be on camera, that might be really annoying. I personally don't I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I'll be in the background sweating my ass off, grunting. I don't care. I'll try to like there's people at my gym who film. I never you won't catch me carrying a tripod because I don't want to be that person. So I have like a magnet that I can stick to gym equipment on for my phone that I can film with if I ever want to film a workout, but I don't do that too often. But there are other people at my gym who film it. I don't care.
I like that. I didn't know the magnet thing was an option. Not that I film at the gym, but that sounds so much more discreet and kind of less
Yes.
imposing.
Yes. Amazon. It's just like a clamp that goes on your phone, like a magnet. You can just stick to whatever gym equipment you need to. And it's very discreet. That's why I like it.
How far out from a competition do you need to really dial in the dieting?
Diet is well, when you're really trying hard to be a good competitive bodybuilder, you are dialing it in year round. There's no like off season. That's why I try not to call anything an off, like, oh, I'm in my off season. I try not to use that verbiage because you're never off. You're always training for something. You always have to be focused. So I usually call it my improvement season. So right now I'm in my improvement season. So I'm purposefully eating in a surplus. Sometimes my coach will say, "Hey, this week I want you to have a free meal on top of all your other regular food on your leg day." And so then it ends up being like 5,000 calories or something like that. But about like 2 months before I would start prepping for a show, I would get my blood work redone just to make sure everything's good to go for a prep. And then possibly that would be the time when my calories start to come down a little bit, just to kind of do like the pre prep thing, like maybe get some body fat off that we put on during the improvement season naturally. And then, it's time to prep and lock in. But really that transition should not be drastic. And that's a thing that I see a lot going back to bad coaches, is where all of a sudden they're at like 20 weeks out, they're starting prep, and that coach is like, okay, I'm dropping your calories by 1,000. Here's 2 hours of cardio. And I'm like, what happened to hello? Like, hello. We don't do that. It's a very gradual thing. So there should really never be any like harsh, like, all right, now we're locked in. You should always be locked in.
Yeah, because and I imagine this happens even if you're someone who's conscientious year round, but when you get towards the end and you really have to cut calories or just add a ton of cardio, how do you deal with the mental fatigue of it all?
Um, well, see, this is tricky because my first prep experience was not good. I had a bad coach, which is why I preach so much about bad coaching. And so I was down bad. I was down pretty bad. I would just be crying on the treadmill. I was doing way too much. I was moving way too much and eating way too less. And when I switched coaches, he had me stop doing everything. He said, "Don't do any more cardio. Well, I'm going to raise your calories by, I think it was like 400 at the time, which was like Christmas to me." And then I ended up dropping weight after that. So, um, yeah, it's just the mental fatigue of it all is rough. But I think that when you have a good coach that knows your body, that gets feedback from you in your improvement season, and knows how to bring you into a show, it really shouldn't be that difficult. People are making it way harder than they need to because their coach is stupid. They haven't optimized their health in ways, so they're fighting against dysfunction in a lot of ways, um, especially if like their hormones are all over the place and their GI health is trashed. You're fighting against all that, and so you're going to have to push harder. You're going to have to do the tons of cardio. You're going to have to lower the calories a ton, and you probably still won't even look good. Um, and so, unfortunately, that is a thing that I went through. But my coach now, I know based on all of my other teammates that I have, it's really not that bad. It probably sucks a little bit, but it shouldn't be. You shouldn't be what I was doing during the first round of my prep, which was crying all the time and like wanting to chew on my desk because I'm so fucking hungry.
So a good red flag is if you're starving and exhausted, you're probably doing it incorrectly.
If you're starving and exhausted like 8 weeks out, yeah, you're doing it wrong. Maybe like 2 weeks out, you're like, all right, let's wrap this up. But that should only be for like a week or two that you feel that way.
How do you navigate the prep as a vegan?
Same way anybody else does. I got my carbs, I got my fats, got my proteins, got my veggies. So it's really not different. I just use different protein sources.
What's your favorite?
My coach loves to give me seitan. It's called seitan. I He always calls it Satan, just jokingly. Um, it's just vital wheat gluten protein. It's almost like 100% protein. And You can make it into whatever you want to make it into, with flavorings, things like that. It's very easy to bake and make at home, and it's cheap. So that's usually what I use. But I also love like fava bean tofu. I'm not a huge fan of tempeh. I think it tastes like dirty gym socks. I use protein powder like for 1 or 2 meals sometimes, but yeah, other than that, it's usually seitan.
You just got done competing. You finally don't have to worry immediately about what you're eating. What's your first meal?
Well, after my shows last year, I ate 2 pizzas by myself. Was that a bad idea? Yeah, I was hurting. That was a bad idea, but it was very good. I would probably go with something very carb heavy, cause like your peak week, we're kind of depleting, so your carbs are very low. So I'm probably craving something super carb heavy, like pizza, pasta, some garlic bread, maybe sushi, if it's good sushi. Veggie sushi, obviously for me, but some is hit or miss. But probably something very carb heavy.
Had like a carb craving yesterday. I mean, I'm not cutting anything at all. It's just I think as a woman, especially with how our cycle goes, as you were alluding to earlier, I was like on my way home from work and something just compelled me to go get a bagel. I was like, I need a bagel.
Mm,
It's that
yeah,
like carb thing where you're like, my body is just screaming for it right now.
I do love a bagel, a blueberry bagel or an everything bagel.
Ugh, the
Yeah, I'm
best.
there. I'm there.
When you're in that really close window, like let's say 2 weeks out, what is the discipline like of saying no to things that you know you can't have?
When you are a competitor, you are going to have to constantly be saying no to things, especially when you're in prep. Everybody's going to want to try to give you food. That's the thing. Your family won't understand. You're going you're walking down the aisles of Costco and somebody's got free samples and you got to say no. Your mom doesn't understand why you can't have some of the fruit on the fruit tray. Um, and like, why can't you have an extra serving of broccoli? They don't understand. So you're going to have to constantly be saying no. That's throughout the entirety of prep. And even to an extent in your improvement season, like right now, I can't go I can't stay out till like 1 a.m. and party with my friends. Like, my recovery would be fucked and I can't lift well the next day. I have to get my water intake in, like, even if that means I have to stop at a grocery store or like a gas station while I'm out and get a gallon of water. Like, I have to be on my recovery, my training has to be there, especially when you're enhanced, because you want those things to work. Like, I don't, you have to be dialed in every aspect. So, saying no is just something that you have to learn as a competitive bodybuilder, and you just really have to say, maybe a better term for it would be not right now. You don't have to necessarily say no, but not right now. Would you like a Twizzler? Not right now. I'll have it in 2 weeks when I'm done.
I love that. I would imagine that kind of ability to harness the power of no spills into other parts of your life.
Yeah, it does for sure. Learning the discipline and because bodybuilding is not about instant gratification. If you want instant gratification, you're in the wrong area. And that's why people resort to taking heavy amounts of drugs, because they want instant gratification. But for bodybuilding, you always have to be thinking about your future self. Um, so, like right now, I'm not going to go eat a buffet every single weekend, because when I eventually do get to prep time, that's going to be so hard to get off. If I've gained, 40 pounds in my improvement season, I'm doing my future self a huge disservice by doing that. So it's just going to make my life in the future very difficult.
Yeah, you got to kind of maintain that the light at the end of the tunnel the whole year.
Yeah. Yeah, you do. Sometimes it is exhausting. And I think that's why competitors lose their spark sometimes, especially after a show, the post-show blues, because, this big event just happened that you were really looking forward to, and now there's nothing to look forward to. And so they kind of come down and they crash, and yeah, the drive kind of isn't there anymore, which is understandable, but you really do have to always be looking forward.
Talk to me about the world of enhancements and the arguments for and against it.
Well, the men in my comment section will tell you that it will turn you immediately into a man if you even look at a PED. So, there you go for that. But There are natural shows, there are natural federations that will rigorously drug test you. They'll make you take a polygraph test before you compete or after you compete if you've won, P test after you win. And if you're a pro in that league, they will randomly drug test you through the year. So you can't be like sneaking some enhancements in your improvement season and just be natty for the show. Um, so there are things like that. But in the federations that I compete in, the NPC, there's no drug testing. And so it's kind of free for all, really. So when I said that bodybuilding is not a healthy thing to do, it's really not, but we can do things in a healthier way. And sometimes taking enhancements, meaning, I don't even know if you would really call it an enhancement, just optimizing your hormones and keeping those levels steady. Um, that will help your health significantly, especially as a woman. Especially if you are taking any sort of anabolic steroid, you want to be supporting your hormones with probably a clinical dose of TRT. It's very, very small. You would not be going out of like your biological range. That would be possible for you. So there are things that we can do to make it healthier in that way, by using enhancements, hormone replacement therapy wise. But if you're looking to dabble into like the anabolic steroids, um, I would just make sure that you know exactly what you're doing. You know exactly what you should be taking, as a woman, especially. There are just certain things that I personally would just never ever take because of the risks. And then you should have a coach that really knows what you're doing, and you should express your concerns to that coach like, hey, I'm really concerned if I go down this path because I really want to be a good bodybuilder, I want to be a competitive bodybuilder, I want to be a pro, but I'm really concerned about my femininity and my health. Make sure that your coach understands that and knows what to do, to mitigate those things for you. Now, some things are unavoidable. It's really going to come down to your dose and your length of use and your compound selection for women. So those are the three things that you really need to keep in mind if you want to dabble into the world of enhancements. But I'm going to be a party pooper and say that unless you want to be a serious competitive bodybuilder in a muscular division, I probably wouldn't do it.
When you see those videos of women that have been on enhancements for a long time and they have this like deep masculine voice, how does that happen?
So there is an anabolic to androgenic ratio with anabolic steroids. So what you want is for the anabolics side effects to be higher than the androgenic side effects. So things like Anavar, that's a common one. The anabolic to androgenic ratio is in favor with Anavar. And so, like, when women take a very high dose of that, this is just an example, a high dose for a long period of time, it can work on your androgen receptors, and cause viralization, like the deepening voice, sometimes hair loss, sometimes um, like body parts growing in places that you don't want to be growing as a woman. So all these different things, right? And so it can happen with poor compound selection if they've been taking it for a long time, if they've taken too high of a dose for a long time, if their coach doesn't care about their health and they just want to put them on stage to win and look the best, then there you go.
And is that what also leads for like further down the road to having fertility issues, or is that something that I'm have a misconception about?
Yeah, it can. It definitely can. And the same thing with men, although there's a huge misconception that if a man takes testosterone replacement therapy, then he becomes infertile, and that's just not true. It's a huge misconception. So I would, if you're taking like 500 milligrams of test, yeah, maybe, but that usually isn't a concern. But if they're on a bunch of other stuff, then yeah, it can kind of sometimes be a concern. But I'll give you this anecdote. Um, Chris Bumstead, Derek Lunsford, both got their wives pregnant while they were in a prep. So I don't think that they were infertile with all the gear that they were taking. So
That actually leads me right into the next thing. How much gear is involved in the Olympia?
all of it. C, all of the above. It doesn't matter what division, doesn't matter men, women, bikini, men's open. Just assume everybody is taking something. There's levels to it. There's going to be competitors who are like me, who definitely take a more conservative approach, who are at the top and they just have really good genetics, but they still do take something. And then there are going to be women who throw the kitchen sink down the throat.
What did you think of this last Olympia?
I thought it was pretty good. We had a lot of new champions just because of the way things worked out with different competitors moving around to different divisions, people retiring, things like that. The men's side of things, I thought was maybe perhaps a little bit predictable, although there's huge uproar with the men's open right now. I keep seeing posts about that. But for the women, obviously, like for my division figure, Sid Gillen, 8-time figure Olympian, retired last year. She's my posing coach. Love her. And then Rhea ended up winning. She's so nice. We're mutuals, actually. And she's just like so sweet. And so I'm very happy that she won. All the top 5 girls in the Olympia for figure looked really, really good. For bikini, I know a lot of people were really confused about bikini, but a tip for any competitor out there: Tyler Mannion, the vice president of the IFBB, and a judge at the Olympia and other pro shows, always does a video recap, and he goes over the top 5, why they were the top 5, why they got the placings that they did. So if you're a competitor and you were confused, watch his videos because he breaks it down really, really nicely.
That's super helpful because I know there was a lot of kind of confusion online about what happened. I think it was with bikini, if I'm correct.
Hmm. Yeah, a lot of people were confused about bikini. Um, to be honest, I wasn't confused. I could kind of tell you when Maureen walked on stage, I was like, that's the look that they're gonna go for. That's classic bikini look. All the other girls either were like too conditioned, too hard, or too soft. So that's why bikini is kind of a little bit interesting in that way, where you really have to come in like exactly right for bikini.
You can be too hard?
For bikini, yeah. They don't want to see like a lot of hardness in the abs. They don't want like they don't want any striation in the muscle. They just want to see separation, if that makes sense. So like for figure, we want striation. And when you're in like women's physique, women's bodybuilding, they want striation and like graininess. You have to be so lean that you look like textured, if that makes sense. But for bikini, they just want to see separation. They don't want to see any striations in your muscle. Your quads can't be feathered, your shoulders can't be feathered out, your abs can't be like too hard. So
Is that something that mainly comes down to the diet in the prep phase?
yeah, definitely. Definitely if they're over, it comes down to peak week too. Sometimes I think a lot of people were saying how they weren't disappointed, they were just surprised that Laura Lee, last year's champion, didn't even place top 5. I think she looked like she spilled over. That's just me.
Yeah, from as little as I know about it, I just saw someone doing like a side by side of from when she won to this year. And even as someone who's not involved at all, I could tell the difference just by looking at the photos.
Yeah. But again, like she was maybe going for a softer look for bikini. I think that they overshot it by a lot if that was the case. She could probably use another 3 to 5 pounds off, conditioning wise, at least. But to me, the way that she looked, she had like a film over her, if that makes sense. And I think she looked like she spilled over during peak week. But
How do you familiarize yourself with what the judges are looking for?
watching a lot of shows, watching who wins shows, again, like Tyler Mannion breaks it down really easily. Um, but basically just by watching a lot.
Is there anyone that you're really excited about, like their trajectory?
Oh gosh, yeah, I mostly obviously keep up with a lot of figure girls, um, but I have my favorites in figure. I love Lola. She got second place at the Olympia behind Rhea. I love her physique so much. I think she looks very close to the way Sid looked. I really like Lena is another really good competitor from Germany. Tessa, I think she lives in North Carolina. She looks so good. Just all these girls, and the thing is, for figure, they don't want a lot of. They usually will go for shape over size. So figure is supposed to be a shape division over anything, and that was really true at this Olympia. They really did a good job of showing us exactly that when they didn't go for the biggest girls that were on stage, they went for shape over size. So it's a good thing to keep in mind too if you're in figure.
How do you pick what bikini color you're gonna wear?
You should pick your suit color based on what goes well with you, your features, your hair color, your eye color, your skin tone, things like that, colors that pop. If the judges do not like the suit color on you, they will tell you. Um, so, people do like color theory a lot
Mhm.
of like things. I did like a blue, purple, pinkish suit for my first time. I won't be wearing that one again because I think it won't even fit next time. But I think I'm gonna go with black. I love a black suit. Sometimes it can be a little risky because sometimes judges don't like it, but I think I'm gonna try it, see if they like it. If not, I can order a different one. But
Yeah, that's so fascinating. You have to know your own color theory because I was seeing some like comment breakdowns about that in the women's with the Olympia of like, oh, this person
yeah,
didn't pick the right bikini. And I'm like, what? That's a factor?
yeah, yeah. Sometimes, especially when a very light skinned girl, like even fairer than me, will pick like a baby pink suit, even with the tan on, it just really washes them out and it doesn't pop, if that makes sense. But like if a girl who was black picked a baby pink suit, it would probably look good on her, if that makes sense. So you really have to watch out for that. And like, yeah, the judges will tell you if they do not like your suit color.
Are the men experiencing that type of critique?
I don't honestly know if the judges would tell them if they don't like their suit color. The men have less options than us girls do. Um, but I don't actually know if the judges would tell them to change their suit color. I don't know that I pay attention to the men that much in that way. I'm like, ooh, his blue suit looks really good.
Yeah, it's so fascinating with the men. Um,
Hmm.
Talk to me about the differences in like muscularity between the different categories.
So, with the newest edition of Fit Model, that's the seventh women's division. It's getting a little crazy out here, but I digress. For Fit Model, that one, we're going to go in order of muscularity. That one's the lowest on the totem pole, if we want to call it. So, when it first came out and Tyler was breaking down the criteria, they didn't want to see a cap delt. They didn't want to see a glute ham tie in. Very soft, very, it's giving Pilates. I'll say that. Not muscular whatsoever. They wanted it to be a very entry level division, although they're giving pro cards for it. Whatever. Um, so yeah, that one is the lowest of muscularity and conditioning. As we go up to bikini, we want cap delts. We want developed glutes, but not too much on the legs. So really think about like an hourglass shape, a softer hourglass shape. Although bikini is still very lean, it's just not as lean as we're gonna get as we go up. So cap delts, not too much on they don't even show their backs, so their hair covers their back. You don't really want a developed chest, no like separation in the quads, really. A little bit of hamstring, but mostly glute and shoulder. As we go up to wellness, that is the only asymmetrical division in the IFBB, meaning that the lower body has to be bigger than the upper body. Every other division they want you to be balanced. But for wellness, very, very large legs, glutes, hamstrings, quads, and basically a bikini upper body. So delts, not too much on the back training again, not too much on the chest training, delts, lower body. Then we go up to fitness is the gymnastics routine. And then figure, the division I compete in, is the first division that we get to where you really want to have a developed back, is where you turn around, you're going to move your hair out of the way, show off your back, flex it, things like that. So everything has to be dialed there. They want like an X frame, so wide upper body, developed legs, everything is proportional, symmetrical. And then as we go up to women's physique, just a bigger version of figure, basically. Still an X frame, still upper body muscle, conditioned as all get out, like striations in your muscle. Then we get to women's bodybuilding, which is the biggest of the biggest. Still have to be balanced though. Like you can't have a huge upper body and little legs. You still have to have developed legs. So it still has to be proportional.
What is your like gym split to hit the areas that you need to hit?
So it's going to depend on the person's physique. So for me, I only do legs once a week. So right now, my legs are fine. And I just need my upper body to kind of catch up, if you will. So I have 3 days of upper body training a week. So my day one is delts only. Oh, sorry, it's delts and arms now. So delts and arms, and then I do back and a little bit of glute, and then I do chest, and then I do my full leg day.
So you're at the gym 4 days a week?
hmm Yeah, usually if 5 is the most that I would go, and that is during like a big push phase, like when I'm taking enhancements to help my recovery, because 5 days a week in the gym, going hard and training as hard as you should be is very difficult for me, at least.
No, I would imagine that's difficult for anyone. And then are you adding like a cardio to one of the days or are you just kind of spreading it out? No.
Nah, we don't. No, don't do cardio. I have a daily step goal. I have a daily step goal. That's my cardio. I don't do like formal. I don't get on the bike. I don't get on the elliptical. I don't get on an incline treadmill, the stairs, nothing like that. I just get my daily step goal, and that works perfectly fine.
That makes me feel better because I'm like pretty negligent with the cardio, but I do steps.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What's something you're looking forward to right now?
Oh, I'm looking forward to getting a free meal from my coach. I'm looking forward. I've got a couple of shows coming up with some athletes that I'm really looking forward to them competing. I have a teammate that's competing in a few weeks. Get to go see her compete. She's a wellness. I the Arnold is coming up in March, March like 1st or something like that. So that's always a fun time. I'll be there at a booth with my coach, and I'll probably be starting prep probably around that time. So I'm excited for my next season.
That's so cool. The Arnold, is that the big convention that's in Ohio?
Yep. Columbus. Yes. Yes, Columbus. Yeah, it's very fun. It's a lot. If you don't like crowds, you won't like it. It's packed. It was so busy last year, but I work a booth the whole weekend, so that's not just I love it. I like to people watch. I like to meet people. And I do like to yap, so that's fun for me.
Are there any like controversies or gossip that goes on in these circles?
Oh, the fitness space, yeah. Yeah. It's bodybuilding is a in retrospect is a very small community, and that's why I always say be nice to everybody because you never know. It's a very small space. Even though it feels really big, like there's a lot of people, it's really small, especially in the competitive bodybuilding world, if you really think about it. Um, but there is you hear about drama all the time with like different coaches that have drama with each other, like an athlete who has drama with their old coach. These two people don't like each other amongst competitors. Like it's everywhere.
What do people get jazzed up about? Because I see like the natty, not natty as like one of the big conversations. Is that really as big of a deal like in the world?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a huge deal in the competitive bodybuilding side, but like influencers, that's a huge deal. And it does suck because like that's the thing, going back to what we were talking about like when we first started, the idea that if you step into the gym you're going to become a mass monster is because a lot of times a lot of these fitness girls, even if they're not competing, they don't compete at all. They're just like an Instagram model, fitness model. They're taking something. They're probably taking Anavar. That's usually what it is. That's usually the go-to compound. And then women don't know that. And they look at them and they're like, that's achievable naturally. I'll get there. And then it takes them forever. And they're like, why don't I look like this girl? She's enhanced. And they're lying about it. So that does suck. I don't know so much about the men's side of things. Sometimes I'll see things where guy fitness influencer guys are claiming natty, and then you look at them and you're like, you made that much progress in a year. I guess you are a man. You should have 15 times the testosterone running through your body than I do, but still, that's quite the progress for a year at 30 years old, especially. We're not in our 20s anymore. So there's that. Um, it does suck. That's a part that I really do hate is the natty or not thing. I hate the videos too. The nat are you natty or not? Go away. Like obviously they're not natty. Like anybody can tell. But I guess those videos do help people see that nobody's natural. nobody is natural. Just assume that nobody is natural. And even sometimes when they're very adamant about it, it comes out that they're not natural. Like it's just like no, it's like I feel very jaded when I talk about it because it's like you can't trust anybody, but like sometimes you really can't. That's why I try to be extremely transparent. I'm like, hey, I'm not natty. Like, I haven't been natty for a year. So, results may vary.
How has your body changed since you started taking enhancements?
Um, I don't I don't think it has changed other than muscle. It's just like, again, I think that people would be very surprised to hear how little I take, how infrequently I take them. Um, and so for me, it has not, my voice has not changed. I don't feel any different. My hair is actually thicker now than it ever has been, and it's growing like crazy. My nails are very healthy, like skin is very healthy. Um, but again, like I have my hormones optimized. I cleaned up my gut. I don't have any gut issues anymore. So like the enhancements work better in that way. So I don't have to take as many, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some of the like glaring red flags that you see in people who it might indicate that they're overdoing it?
Um, a lot of acne, but again, that could be coming from gut issues a lot of the time. They just need to clean up their gut. But it could be that they're taking just too much in the wrong compound selection. If their voice gets deep, like immediately, because the other side of this that we haven't even talked about is the underground buying of everything. People don't get it from a reliable source. And especially, this is what I preach all the time. If nobody else learns anything from me on my TikTok, learn this is that don't get your, if you're going to be going enhanced, I wouldn't fuck around with that. That's something extremely important, and you don't want to mess around when it comes to that. You want to get good stuff and you want to get what it says that you're getting. So a lot of times, and other people have spoken out about this actually. I don't remember who it was, a very popular competitor on like a TikTok influencer. Um, they were taking Anavar. Turns out they were not getting Anavar, and they were taking it for a longer time than I probably would have, at a higher dose than I would have, and they weren't getting Anavar, and it was Winstrol. Winstrol is very androgenic, and so their voice changed like immediately, and that's something that's irreversible. And so that's why I say if you're going to be taking stuff, get it from the pharmacy if you can. If you can't get a because there's some things that you can't get. Okay, make sure that you have a very good source, that it has been tested on blood work. That's what I usually say. And then people are like, oh, I can buy a test kit online. The test kit is only going to tell you if the compound that you're testing for is present. It doesn't tell you the dose. It doesn't tell you if there's anything else in there. So if you were testing Anavar, there might be a little bit of Anavar in there, oxandrolone, but you could also be getting Winstrol in there, and it's not testing for that. It's not going to tell you that. Does that make sense?
It does, and that's good to know because I was wondering how people get enhancements in a way that is above board. Like you can ask a doctor, or how would you go about it?
I go through a clinic. I go through Rise, RYZE. That's the one I always go through. I don't get paid from them. That's just who I use. And I get my oxandrolone, I get my nandrolone, I get my testosterone. You can get growth hormone. There are other things that you can get that I haven't gotten yet, but yeah, those kinds of things. Like I said though, there are things that you just can't get anywhere like that. But that's when you have to make sure that you have probably a good coach or a very good source.
Yeah, because you hear these like kind of crazy tales of people buying things underground and it having just a detrimental impact on their overall health. I guess that's like
Yeah.
any drugs, not just competing drugs.
Yeah, it does suck that men can get away with a lot more. If they get the wrong compound, it's kind of like, well, that sucks. You just paid for that and you didn't get what you thought you were getting, and it may like fuck up your blood work a little bit. But they can usually bounce back. But women, the virilization effects are irreversible. So you, especially as a woman, I would really make sure that you're getting what it says you're getting, the correct dosage. That's why when women get testosterone, underground or from somebody who is in their trunk, like you don't, women's testosterone is dosed differently when you get it through a clinic. So When I get my testosterone, it's 25 milligrams per milliliter. A man's testosterone would be like 200, maybe 250. So if I were to get my testosterone underground and it's my vial says 25 milligrams per milliliter and I pull the correct dosage, hey, who knows? Maybe that vial is actually 200 and they just slapped a different label on it. And now I'm taking like quadruple the amount that I want. So it's, I would just be very smart. And that's the thing. Nobody's being told that because there's not a lot of information out there because nobody wants to talk about it. It's taboo. People give you shit for it. Exhibit A. So like then women are left like clueless, like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like nobody's guiding me in this way. Their coach doesn't know what they're doing because maybe their coach only coaches men. Like that's the other thing too. It's like I just want to like take them all and like give them a PowerPoint presentation and send them on their way.
No, that's so important to bring awareness to this because I'm sure, particularly women, are probably really curious and really lost and isolated when this has been so much more of the norm with men in general. And like, would you say that the scene is pretty even? Like, are there as many women that compete as men, or is it still tilted?
Honestly, with 7 women's divisions, I would almost venture to say that there are more women competing. Um, I don't know. I don't even know if there's data on that. All I know is at the Olympia, at least, there are more female competitors than male competitors. But again, we have more divisions available for us. Um, but like bikini, if you ever go to like a local NPC show, just like a local one, the bikini lineup anywhere is usually pretty deep. That's usually the biggest class. There's a lot of girls that compete in bikini. So, and now with even with the addition of Fit Model, there's a lot of girls that are going to be joining Fit Model. I would say that there's more female competitors. Um, now, maybe I don't, I don't know if this is the correct way to say this. There might be more serious competitors in men's bodybuilding because the amount of muscularity it takes to compete in any of the men's divisions is a lot. And maybe on the women's side, there's a lot of girls, they just want to try it out. Does that make sense? And
Hmm.
they're probably not going to stick with it for more than a year.
Yeah, I
But the
saw.
NPC doesn't care because they still get their money. So
That's true. Much like any organization, they're like, "Oh, okay, we'll take your
it's
money.
a
We don't care.
business.
Get to
Yeah, it's a
business."
business.
1,000%. I saw earlier this year there was this girl who was like competing at what I assume is the entry level, and she was not in shape, and it was this whole like uproar
Yeah.
because she
Is it the
wasn't
one in
ready.
Wisconsin or like Michigan or something?
I think so. Yeah. Did you
Yeah,
have
I
a?
remember that very vividly, yes, because the internet had a fucking heyday with that.
They definitely did. What was your take on that?
My take was A, I don't care. B, it's nobody's business. She paid. It's her prerogative if she wants to show up out of shape. That's her. That's on her coach more than anything. Um, and C, I think that people are way too concerned about it. This would never happen at the pro level. It would literally never happen. It's like impossible. Um, she paid her fee. She was literally the only one who showed up. So by default, she's awarded first place by default. And then people were like jumping down my throat saying that like, oh, it's a disgrace to the sport. Get a grip. Find it, get a grip. It's not a disgrace. Her showing up to that show out of shape does nothing to me personally. Does nothing to me. I'm still training the same. I'm still going to diet. I'm still going to be dialed in. Literally doesn't matter to me. And then people were like, well, she's done this before. Every show she does, she shows up out of shape and she only enters the show in divisions that nobody else is in. That way she can just get first place. And then I said, can you put yourself in that mindset? How um, down bad you have to be for validation to show up out of shape at a bodybuilding show where everybody else is shredded and then only enter divisions where you are going to win by default. That's not a good mental space to have. I don't know why. You should be reaching out to her for help, not tearing her down. Like, let's go.
Oh, 100%. And it kind of even more solidifies why it doesn't matter that she's doing that because she's not hurting anyone in the process. She's not like taking anything away from anybody else who's competing.
And like that's like the NPC aspect of it all. It's an amateur league. Amateur. If you go to any show at the local level, you're going to see people who are out of shape, who are not properly stage lean. Now, maybe not to the extent that she was. That one, I'll admit, was quite bad. But you still see people who maybe went through a huge weight loss transformation that aren't like shredded and dialed in. That's why I think that the NPC should have implemented a transformation category instead of fit model, but that's for a different discussion. Um, but it's the amateur league. It's like showing up to a pickup game of basketball and being like, why can't these people play basketball like the NBA? Are you kidding? It's an amateur league.
Yeah. Madison, what's in the future for you?
Um, gosh, training, competing next year. I think I'm going to do 3 shows in a row next year.
Wow.
Um, Growing my coaching business, trying to be a little bit of a beacon in the female fitness space, talking about how to do things properly with enhancements, coaching, dieting, training, things like that. Um, Being silly online and oversharing as usual. Not caring about my digital footprint whatsoever. But yeah, I'm really excited about competing next year, especially because I'll have more muscle. I'll be better conditioned. I'll have a better mental space. I won't be in school while I'm trying to do it. And I have a great coach now, who is very supportive and is very knowledgeable, who I have been very, very blessed to be able to work under and be a part of his coaching team. So it's very exciting.
Well, I look forward to seeing what you're doing. I love all of your content, the competitive stuff and then the sleep token stuff, all of it. I just like really love what you're putting out there. So,
Oh my gosh, I love sleep token. I'm getting another sleep token tattoo on Friday.
what are you getting?
I'm gonna get the Rain, the song Rain, um Mouth of the Wolf, Eyes of the Lamb. It's gonna be like a heart locket situation with one side wolf, one side lamb. So it's gonna be cute, vintage looking, old timey look. So I haven't even seen it. I just told the artist like this is what I want, and I know she's gonna do great. So
Is it the same one that did your leg?
hmm
Did you see someone there's some kind of like lawsuit for a tattoo of theirs going on?
I did see that. I investigated that like a little bit. To my knowledge, obviously, like Sleep Token has their own like manager firm, whatever. I think it got dropped. They didn't know about it, like the band themselves, like didn't know about it. It got dropped, but I did see that I think an artist lost their job because of it, unfortunately, which really sucks. People are insane. Like they're supporting you. They are like the walking billboard like for
Yeah.
you. I don't get that at all.
I don't either. And I saw that, and maybe this is the precedent of why they had to drop the lawsuit, but Kat Von D had gotten sued at some point for doing a portrait tattoo of Miles Davis, and she ended up winning the lawsuit.
Oh, okay. Dang, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, my mom's going to be so mad when she hears this, but I kind of told her earlier I also want like a sleep token tattoo. I was going to get two like eyes like fire and a butterfly winged insect because Take Me Back to Eden is my favorite song. And
I
uh,
love that song.
yeah, I still don't know where I'm going to get it or when, but I think when the universe wants to bless me with that, it'll happen.
I know. That's the thing too with bodybuilding. I have to be careful about where I put tattoos. Don't want to cover up anything too important, especially for figure.
Hmm.
So below the elbow, below the knee right now. That's where they're going. But I think eventually if I ever decide to like whether that's like 5, 10, 15 years down the line, I'm like, okay, I'm done with competing. Oh, covered like neck, throat, like arms, legs. Yeah, it's going everywhere.
I love that look.
All sleep token probably.
There's going to be
I have so
plenty.
many ideas. I have so many ideas and like lyrics that I'm like, oh yeah, I want this, I want that. So like I have to pace myself because it's expensive.
I know.
Like you need to
It's,
calm down.
it's so hard not to just make it my whole
Oh,
personality.
I know. I think on Friday I'm gonna be like, hey, when can I book another one? Even
Did you
if that's like a month out.
did you get to go to the Even in Arcadia tour?
Oh yes, it was amazing. I loved it so much. Oh man, I'm mad that the tour is ended because I would honestly go again. Like I would travel for it. It was so good. It was so good. They didn't play my favorite song, whatever, but I still loved it.
Yeah, this was like such drama because I had gotten kicked out of the like ticket buying thing when they first came out, which I know happened to a lot of people. And I know that it's like so hard to get any kind of concert tickets these days because of scalping.
Right.
And so that
Right.
was so frustrating because it was like I was originally going to pay $200 and then I got kicked out of the queue, couldn't get a ticket. And then within the weeks after the tickets came out, it shot up to like six, seven, $800. And I was trying to soothe myself and go, just wait till closer to. I know it's risky, but you got to wait till you're like a couple weeks out. And then about 3 weeks out from the show, it finally fell into a range on like a tick pick or whatever, it
Mhm.
went down to where I was like, okay, I'm comfortable paying that. And then I went to the show, and this was not this last Saturday, but the 11th.
Mhm.
And there were thousands of us that were not getting let into the crypto arena because we all had second party tickets, and Access, who runs the crypto arena here in LA, were like being crazy picky. And so my friend got to go in. We like went together. We had separate seats, but her ticket scanned fine and she went in, and I got sent with this like mob to go to the window, like the box office window, and there's thousands of us out there panicking, like literally panicking. People are
I
walking up
would
and down
be
the line.
it
Yeah.
would be a mess.
It was so crazy. Everyone's walking up and down the line and going, "Oh, they're not letting anyone in. They don't want third-party tickets, blah blah blah." And then all of a sudden, and I'm like bonding with these two girls because you just make friends with
You're
everybody
right.
around you.
Trauma bonding.
Yeah, trauma bonding. And they go, "Look, everyone's rushing the doors." And it was like some kind of January 6th, like people were just mobbing the fucking venue. And I go, "I guess this is what we're doing." So I like link arms with these
Hey,
girls.
yeah. They can't stop all of us.
They can't stop all of us. And
What are they gonna
some
do? Scan all of our tickets inside? They're gonna go to every
exactly.
person and see what ticket they had? No, you can't keep me away from Vessel.
Yep. It was just so wild because I think, and I would imagine that the band had something to do with it, that like a call was made that because
Yeah.
so many people, like thousands of fans, were stuck in this line outside,
That's
that they just went,
crazy.
let them in. And then, like, the problem was that it wasn't my name on the ticket. It was like the original
Right.
purchaser's name was on everybody's ticket. And then they
Right.
just like let us all in, scanned the tickets. Thank God I didn't miss anything. It's the first time I cried hysterically during a concert.
No, their music alone though is so emotional to me,
Hmm.
and I don't think people like who are like, "Nah, they're okay." I don't think they've actually listened.
I
Like you have
agree.
to listen. I'm doing like a full on like research paper, like looking up the lyrics, looking up the meanings. Like I'm on Reddit, I'm on Google, like I'm throwing it into Chat GPT. Like, what does this mean? Like I'm deep in it. Like it's not just music. It's like all their songs are so emotional, deep like meaning to all of them. And it's just like, of course, like obviously when you see them in concert and like live, it's just like that wave of emotion with everybody there too. It's just like, oh, it knocks you. I think for me it was the last song that they played for at mine at least was Infinite Baths, and I'm like,
Hmm.
it wasn't on the set list that I looked at either, and so I was very surprised by that one. I was very happy.
Oh, interesting. Because I had seen the set list and it was the same set list that we had here in LA.
Okay, because when I was like before that, I was looking and there wasn't Infinite Bass on there, and I was like, well, okay, that sucks. But and then they ended up playing it. And I was like, oh, and then right after that, the set list that I had been listening to was changed. So maybe the person that was at my
Oh,
show had made the list that I was looking at and then changed it, and I was like, okay, well, it's fine because I was pleasantly surprised.
me too. I still have just like the worst post-concert depression.
Oh yeah, that's a real thing. That's a very real thing. I have bad concert hangovers.
Me too.
Bad. Especially from Sleep Token. I mean, it was never this way when I saw like Post Malone or Morgan Wallen years ago or anything like that. But Sleep Token, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be thinking about that one for a while. Yeah,
Well, I'm right there in the trenches with you.
great. Solidarity.
Madison, thank you so much for coming on to the show today. If people want to learn more about what you're doing, where should they go?
Thanks. So TikTok, Savage Vegan Barbie, I think. And then I'm a very bad TikToker. And then Instagram, Savage Vegan Barbie as well. So yeah, those are really the only two that I'm on.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for talking to me today.
Yeah, thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Of course. And thank you, everybody, for listening. Bye.